Hey, Roy.
Get out of Stedman.
Had a good day?
Always. You?
Yeah, it's been busy, but it's been good. Hey, David. Where's there? Everybody's chiming in now. Come on now. Okay, come on. Hey, Dr. Lamb.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well.
Good.
That's not what I want. Participants. Okay. Dr. Lamb, I've turned it over in case you've got something you need to show.
I do.
Okay. I figured so. Okay, where?
Starting to sign in. All right.
Yeah, they're coming in, yeah. That's good.
All right.
Okay.
Do, 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 do.
Horizon Beyond Unlimited Break Space.
Dr. Lamb,
Yes, sir.
before we start on the competencies, can we briefly just speak about task 3, since that's what is being, or task 2 and task 3 as a reminder to those that still owe it, so that they make sure that they're completing it correctly?
I'll let you do that.
Okay, that. Yeah, I just need to briefly speak about that before
Fire
you
that
start
shot. Go right
on
ahead.
the other. Okay, so it won't take me but just a second. I've sent information out, but I just needed just a FYI. Um, see. Okay. I've had 3 or 4, Dr. Lamb, to it's that time of the year. There's some night school functions going on, but
Yeah, and you can record it.
they cleared it with me, and I understood, and I will post this after it's over with, so that they'll have it. So,
So,
you ready to get started?
yep, you go ahead.
Okay. First of all, thank you for those that have joined us. I was hoping that everybody really needed to join us tonight, and that was the emphasis placed on the email that I sent out after Dr. Lamb and I taught on Sunday evening. I just need to remind you, as you are completing, most of you have turned in task 2 of the APTEL already. There's a few of you still out there that owe that to me. Task 3, many of you have completed that, but then that's the one that I had to send back a lot of those or several of those on Sunday evening or Sunday night. It's important. The template that Dr. Lamb provided for the APTEL, and then when you look at your at the prompt requirements, we clearly said that for task 3 for the growth plan, that under the prompt there are 10 areas that you have to look at, and we said for each one that you would write, number 1, a vision for positive school environment, and then you would do a narrative for it. Then you would go to documentation to support identified needs. You would do a narrative. That has not changed, and if you follow that process, your life will be much easier. And then after that, you were using visual graphic organizing to put your growth plan in place. So make sure that you're following the directions that we're giving you, and if you follow those directions, then your life will be easier, and then I won't be having to send this back. Dr. Lamb's going to talk to you about the competencies and then your experiences, clinical experiences at the school. So, Dr. Lamb, I'm going to let you talk at this time, or I'm going to turn it over to you.
All righty. To avoid confusion and to clear up some confusion, I hope there's not a lot of confusion. I want to speak to you tonight about task stream. First thing I want to talk to you about is your competency folio. Not to be confused with competency analysis over in your DRF portfolio. This is competency folio. This is when you click on folios and web pages, you set up this where you're to put evidence or proof of these 21 competencies 3 times. Now, don't put narratives in here. This is where you put stuff, things, icons, artifacts, pictures, screenshots, emails, PowerPoints, video, things that were produced, minutes, agendas, things that were produced as a result of the work you have done toward that competency or toward your clinical activities or toward your evidence artifacts. This is not the place to write me War and Peace. This is just, I want to see the stuff. This is everything in task stream is either for state licensure or for accreditation. For accreditation, for clinical experiences, CAPE Standard 2, which I'm in charge of, for CAPE Standard 2 clinical experiences, I have to show a portable folio that you did what you said you did, proof items, and it has to be portable. That's why we said put in a separate folio that can be published and on a stick or on a drive and made a file, and then I can upload that to the accreditors. That's why it's there. They don't want to read about, again, how you're competent. They want to see what you produced through your competency. So when you click on communication, the first of these, what I would expect to see is I'd like to see an attached document like from the app cell that highlights something. I want to see a picture. I want to see a screenshot. I want to see a something here. Don't tell me, show me how you're competent. Please remember.
Dr. Lamb, can I remind them, now when you do AppTel Task 4, you're going to do a narrative for me there.
Yeah,
for
but
your task 4, you are going to do a narrative.
We're going to get to that narrative and where you use it.
Okay.
But this is, I'm going to start with competency folio because this is where I'm having the most problem across all 601s is people want to go in there and put their narratives from AppCell Task 4 or 5 and AppTel Task 4. They want to put them here. No, that's not what goes here. This is for your stuff. This is proof, evidence. So that communication down through visionary. Now, digital learning competencies, that's not a do. That's just a folder that shows you what they are. I have integrated the 19 of them or 18 of them into these. So, for example, when you click on communication, one of these must satisfy the following digital learning competency. You're probably going to do that anyway. So there is nothing to put in this one. So don't send me an email. Mine don't work. Well, it's not supposed to work. It's just for information. So don't be that person that sends me the idiot email. Mine don't work. It's not supposed to work. It's just so you'll know what they are. Now, internship logs. This is where you upload them for comments. If I had a nickel for everyone that I've had to send back. There's a place for your internship log over in your DRF portfolio. That's for the final, when you submit it for evaluation. Each semester, when you get your 80 hours, you can do one of two things. You can put it here and request comments, or you can put it in your DRF and request comments. But do not hit the submit button. If you submit it and somebody gets in before I do and grades it, then you're done. You can't put yours in next semester or the following semester. So make sure you understand. This is where you go to get comments on your, you upload at the end of each semester until your last semester, and then you will upload all three over in your DRF portfolio, and you'll submit it at that time for evaluation. Okay, now, DRF portfolio. As we have continued to tell you on a regular basis, Fall 17 add-on, I'll go in under the student view. This competency analysis for semester 1, this is where you copy and paste what you wrote in AppCell Task 5 and AppTel Task 4. This is where you copy and paste them into this form. See where it says view, edit your responses? See, it gives you a box right there at the end of each one of them, and you rate yourself whether what you think you did met or didn't meet that competency. But that's where you put that narrative that you wrote in Task 5 and Task 4 of the AppCell and AppTel respectively. Don't put them in your competency folio. Put stuff in competency folio. So make sure that you finish this semester. All right.
Dr. Lamb, one of the students asked the question when they're doing their competency folio, if they put a picture in there to a brief description of what that picture represents. Absolutely. You know, you can talk about it. I mean, you can say what that picture represents if that is an artifact.
Sure. Now, if you choose to use internship log here to get comments, that's okay. If you click on internship log, you can upload this one, and you see this button right here that says request comments. You can do it here as well, but don't fall for the next trap. The next trap is when you leave out of here, even though all you did was request comments, it's going to ask you. I can move this out of the way. Okay, mine won't do it. But when I come out of that, there's a pop-up box that says, please remember to submit your work. Or do you want to submit your work? And the answer, of course, is no. You do not want to submit it. So if you come to your DRF portfolio and you want to request comments on your internship log, that's fine. But do not submit it. Submit it means it's locked forever, and we can't get back in it. Let me answer 2 questions here. Allowed to add more? Yes, you can always add more. When putting a picture in the competency folio, should you not give a brief description of the picture? You can give a brief description of the picture. I don't want the narrative explanation of how you were competent. You've already done that. You can always write me a sentence or 2 of text telling me what you've uploaded, explaining it. But don't go into an argument of, this is why I'm competent again. I've already read that one time. Follow the directions. And it'll make your life a lot easier in terms of you won't be replicating or duplicating your work so much. I hate that we have to do things in different places, but again, I have to have a portable folio that I can give to our accreditors that shows them that you did some work as a result of your clinical experience. Now, the state wants the log. The state doesn't need to see the evidence or proof. They just want the log, and every state requires X number of hours. That's what the state wants for licensure. Our accreditors want the proof. They want the stuff. So remember, you're in a dual just like you're in a dual program, that some of your colleagues are getting their master's degree and some are getting, and y'all are just getting your add-on. The program is for a dual program for both people getting a master's degree and getting add-on licensure certification. And so we have the state requirement and the accreditation. Now, if it were just a licensure program, all we would have to do is just satisfy our accreditors. But unfortunately, we also have a master's degree program that's associated with this, and we have to satisfy 2 masters basically. But this is the easiest way I know to do it. So at the end of this semester, we post all of our evidence in the competency folio, narratives and competency analysis, and just log it all on your internship log. That is correct. Yes, that is correct. And your log, all it just has to have is the name of the activity and how long it took you. We're trying not to make you duplicate so much. We're separating it out into 3 things for the different people who want it in that format so that you don't have to keep on replicating the same things over and over again.
Dr. Lamb, they need to understand, too, that what you're talking about now, this does not go to me. This goes to Dr. Lamb. I do not see this.
Goes straight to me because I supervise all clinical experiences. I have to sign off that you have done and satisfied your clinical experience. That's part of my task. And even if I wasn't your coach, I still have to see all of these. All that has to filter through me, and I have to approve all of these. That you have done all these clinical experiences, and that you have proof of your clinical experiences, and you have a list on your internship log. I've got a CAPE Standard 2 meeting tomorrow, and I was filling out the form for it just a few minutes ago.
Dr. Lamb, I'm seeing the messages. They're still not getting it. They're still not.
Description of the picture, yeah. So yeah, I got you. Yeah, I think everybody's good now. Imagine this, but I'm confused. What are we confused about? Competency folio, competency analysis. Competency folio, put your proofs. Competency analysis, put your narrative where you argue that you're competent. One's separate than the other. Internship log. You can upload it either place for comments, but you can't submit it. It won't give you the option to submit it over in the competency folio. It will give you that option over here in the DRF portfolio. I have them linked, but just remember whenever you're doing anything with your internship log, do not submit it. Just request comments. That's all you have to remember on that one. What should we put in the proof column of the internship log? Whatever you want to, that's notes to you. Basically, the proof column is this is what I generated by doing this activity that I could put in my proofs over in my competency folio. It's just a reminder. I know you folks are a lot younger than me, but even young people, when you sleep, you forget. It's the way life works. And so the idea here is when you're writing things in your log, if you'll jot down, oh, I've got this picture, or oh, I've got this agenda. When you go to your competency folio and you look at your list, oh, I've got this and I've got that. And, oh, this is easier than I thought it was going to be. You know, as you get older, you learn to write things down, and that's a really good advice for school administrators. You have so many things going on at one time. If you will learn to write things down, you'll be a better administrator. I used to require all my assistant principals. I gave them a little pad to put in their pocket, and I gave them a pen. It looked something like this. I still have it. And I required them to put it in their pocket. And don't tell me you forgot something. I gave you a pen, and I gave you a pad. You can never use the excuse with me, well, I forgot. Write it down. And that's what that log is. Write it down. You know, what was generated from doing that activity that you could use as a competency proof, write it down. That's what that column is for.
Dr. Lamb, for their final competency folio that they'll do at the end of the last semester, the third semester, yeah. Then somebody asked the question a while ago. They said, how much, remember, for the 21 competencies, you've 3 different times, this semester, next semester, and the last semester, you have to show evidence that you have met every one of those 21 competencies at
3 times.
You got to do it 3 times each semester.
One time each semester.
For communication, let's go to communication. Okay, when you started this process, you communicated with your site supervisor with an email request or a letter asking permission to do the PLC, or to attack the problem, whatever you had to do. That is a form of communication. That is an artifact. So that would be. But now next semester, when you submit it the second time, we expect things to be more advanced than just a simple email. There should be a progression of growth in all of this. Did I say that correctly, Dr.
That's correct. We'd like to see some growth. If you're putting a proof in for communication on the 3rd round when you're in 605 and it's an email, you better be the webmaster. I'll let you get by with an email when you're starting out, but you better show a more developed communication competency than I can send an email by the time you get to the end of this program. Now, Rory has actually caught on to the terminology, and he's posted it here. Folio means photos. Analysis means words. Yay! Somebody actually uncovered the clue here. Why you think we named them that? Analysis means words. We want to see a narrative there. Folio means pictures. We want to see pictures there. Somebody finally caught on. Yay! That should be your clue. If you've got a folio, we expect to see pictures in it. If you have to do an analysis, we expect words. Okay, so that's exactly right. And that's why we named them that way, so that everybody could keep them straight, that it would be like a mental telephone. Oh, this is a folio. They need pictures. They need to see what I did. Not me to argue what I did. They need to see what I did. I can't read all these. Some of y'all being ugly. All right. Some candidates said must submit a minimum of 13, a minimum of 9 different competency areas. 9 and 13 are 21. If you do that math, or 22, there's actually 21 now. You got to do, if you are a add-on licensure, you have to do all of them every semester. If you are a master's student, you will do 13 first semester and 9 the second semester, and then you'll do that until the last semester. But you are add-on licensure. You have to do all 21 each semester because you're doing 2 semesters worth of work this semester. Remember, you're in the accelerated 3-semester program, so you're doing the work from 601 and 602 this semester. Somehow we've forgotten that as well. Yeah, can I get a pass on my uptown now? Yeah, you can. Please remember, you are doing 601 and 602 at the same time. You're an accelerated program. So you have to meet the requirements for 601 and 602. AppSell is 601, AppTel is 602. 13 competencies, and then in 601, 9 and 602. Or the remainder in 602. But since y'all are doing both of them at the same time, and then next semester you'll be doing 603 and 604, so you'll have to do them again. Then everybody in the last semester does a whole set. Whether you're in the add-on or regular, you have the same thing due in the last semester. But remember, you are consolidating 2 semesters into one for your first 2 semesters. So that's why you have to do them all. The competencies for each task are also posted in the handbook. That is correct. We also put that in the handbook. And remember, I gave you the key to this. I gave you 2 documents. One that said if you do these activities in your clinical experiences, it will relate. You will generate something that will be proof of this competency. You'll remember that document. I also gave you a document that said every time you do something with your evidence artifacts and produce something, this is what that fits. I gave you those 2 documents already. My question was not answered about task 3. That would be, I guess, to Dr. Stedman. Wants to talk about, you have a student who wants to talk about task 3. That would be with Dr. Stedman.
They must not have joined in at the beginning, because my directions were that first of all, task 1, task 2, and task 3 must flow.
Yeah.
It all goes together. And task 3 is simply you follow the template that Dr. Lamb provided. You follow that template, follow it exactly as it is, and then if you look at what it says for your prompt, you do a narrative for each of those 10 items, and then you do a graphic organizer for an action plan. That's it. And it all ties back to what you have identified as the gap in task 2 from your walkthroughs and what you saw happening in the classrooms.
Now, if you need more help than that, send me an email and I'll Zoom with you tomorrow. It'll need to be in the morning. I can Zoom with you in the morning. I've got a meeting I'm in meetings between 9 and, or you can send me an email, maybe we can Zoom tomorrow night. I'll be back online tomorrow night with my classes, and I can Zoom before or after them tomorrow night. So just shoot me an email. If you can Zoom in the morning between 9 and 11, let me know. Or if you can Zoom tomorrow evening, like between 6 and 10. Now, at from 7 to 8, I'll be online with mine. So if you still need some help, I'll be glad to sit down.
And Dr. Lamb, if that student needs to call me tomorrow, they can call me. Just
whoever you choose to, we will help you tomorrow. All right. Said she'd call.
Okay.
All right. 21, not 13 for add-on and competency analysis. There. Competency analysis we're not talking about competency analysis now. We're talking about the 21 competencies in your competency folio. Competency analysis, you have to do all 23 of those, but again, that's a narrative. There are 23 standards in your competency analysis. There's 21 competencies. You got to do all 23. You got to do everything in competency analysis. If there's 21 or 23 or 25, you got to do them all. There's 21 competencies.
But Dr. Lamb, once they click on that and get started, it self-directs as you pace through it. You'll know when you get to the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I got to open my door. I got to get some air in here. I've already had to pull my jumper off here. All right. Okay. Let me get out of that and move that back down. Just as soon as I close my chat box. Is this semester 2? Is this semester 2? I don't understand the question. You're doing the work of semester 1 and 2. What are the last 2 competencies for the analysis? I haven't seen the description of those. Those are kind of on you. That's kind of up to you. That's a personal experience. They threw a couple of curveballs in there at the end for you. You don't have, there's nothing to copy and paste on those. You just have to kind of write something on those 2.
And the thing is, all of you will have, your experiences are going to be different. And so, you know, maybe there was an aha moment or something happened. That's an opportunity to talk about those administratively.
Well, if we look at competency analysis, you see you got all these, but then the last 2, I threw a couple of instructional questions in there for you.
Right.
You should be able to answer those, though. That's wrong. But now, I'll give you a little hint. Look at this. The next 2 semesters, you only have to rate yourself. You don't have to put anything in. We just make you do it in the first semester, so you'll understand the relationship between the work you're doing in clinical experiences and your classwork. We need for you to understand that relationship, and that's why we have you write these things in your first semester. But after that, we won't make you do that again. Let's see if I can get TaskStream to work. See what happens? It always wants you to submit. No, I will submit later. All right, so if we again, if I go to Fall Add-on and look at competency analysis, again, it's added a couple of extras for you that you won't have anything to copy and paste, but you will tell us as a result of having done these competencies where you are with knowledge of curriculum and knowledge of assessment. That's accreditation questions. We have to ask that. The accreditors require those. That as a result of this program, you're supposed to be gaining knowledge of curriculum and assessment. Are you doing that? And you just tell us what you've done that means that you have learned or have accomplished some of those things. And so again, there is nothing you can copy and paste into these. These are open form. These are open-ended questions where you have to write us an answer there.
But Dr. Lamb, again, they need to know that once you get through with task 4 of the APTEL, you will have the 21 that all you've got to do is copy and paste in there. You only have 2 that you've got to actually come
only
up
have 2 that you have to.
Only 2. The rest of it you will already have done.
Yep. We're allowing you to do a copy and paste from work you've already done. You've only got 2 new questions here is all you have. But these are accreditor questions. You have to, we have to ask you these 2. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you graduate from an accredited program so you can get your license, and that's exactly what we're doing. And so there are certain requirements that are thrown in here that the accreditors require, and these are the 2 of them. You have to make sure that each semester you're gaining knowledge of assessment and knowledge of instruction or curriculum every semester. Now, after this, we'll only make you check the boxes. We won't make you write us something. So we'll be good to you after this semester. Okay. So again, this is competency analysis. All right. I hope everybody understands the difference between competency analysis. Again, that's a narrative. You copy and paste the first 21. The last 2, you have to write us a little narrative. And then in the competency folio, as Rory said, that's where your pictures go. That's your screenshots and pictures. I would use screenshots is what I would do. Anything on my computer, I'd screenshot it. I hope all of you have fairly modern equipment. if you have older versions of Windows, if you've got newer versions of Windows, all you have to do is hit the Windows key on the lower left of your keyboard and the print screen button at the top right. If you'll press both of those at the same time, your computer will take a picture of your screen and put it in a screenshot folder in your pictures folder under your program manager. Can y'all see my screen? This is the program manager folder down here at the bottom. When you click on that, under your pictures folder, you can see all my screenshots right there. And sometimes it makes a second folder within that.
We don't see anything but the cursor, Dr. Lamb.
Uh-oh. Let me see if I can do this. And do a share screen. There we go.
Okay,
See it now?
We do now, yes.
All right, so all I did was click on my file folder down here at the bottom, and then it gives me either a picture or sometimes it'll say screenshots. And so you can see all the screenshots that I've taken. And that's how now, if you have an older version, if you don't see an actual camera click on your screen when you press the Windows button and print screen, that means you've got an older version of Windows. And you're going to have to go to Program and download the snipping tool. You can Google that for whatever version you've got. I'm actually using an older computer here in my office at work, and I have that. I've got a snipping tool, but it does the same thing. You just have to download it. But if you've got a newer computer, you can just take two buttons. You take a picture of your screen, you're good to go. And there's the picture. Well, look at that. It's Santa Claus.
We're not seeing a picture.
You didn't see Santa Claus?
No.
Let me
I see. There, now we do.
Look at that.
Now y'all can figure out who Santa Claus is.
Yeah, in about 10 days when I get through all the Santa Claus, they're going to shear me like a goat. I'm going to shed all this extra fur here. All right, so that is how I would do all my proofs for competencies. I just get it on the screen of my computer and take pictures of it and upload those. I mean, if it takes you more than a couple hours to do all 21 of them, you didn't do the work, or you can't use the technology, or both. I mean, this competency folio from beginning to end for those 21 competencies should take you less than 2 hours, especially if you wrote yourself some notes on your internship log where you could find your proofs. You need to learn to work efficiently as administrators. And so hopefully you will learn some of these tricks of the trade. So that you don't have to keep everything in your head all the time. You write yourself notes and you can put things in certain places where you know you can find them. Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions before we go?
Okay.
Yep, here comes one. I had a meeting and wrote the meeting down in my calendar and took notes. Is that proof? Take a picture of them with your phone. See this phone right here? You can take pictures with this phone, and you can email them to yourself. And then you can, that's how I did that picture of me as Santa Claus. I didn't walk you all the way through that. But how you think I got that Santa Claus picture in my folder that I could upload as a proof? That's what the Santa Claus picture was for. I took that picture, had that picture taken on my cell phone. you have an updated phone and a lot of flips. I have the latest in technology right here. This is a S8. I bought this one last week. I stay up to date on technology. But the point of the Santa Claus picture seriously was take pictures of things on your phone that you want to that you want to, take a picture of your calendar, take a picture of this, take a picture of that, take it on your phone, send it to your email, and from there you can download it into your file manager or to your pictures, and then you can go there and upload it into your competency folio.
Dr. Lamb,
I've actually that one right there.
Yeah, I've learned some of their personalities. Some of them are actually being sarcastic with each other. I can see. I
know that.
You know what they're doing to each other.
I know. But that was the point of the Christmas
picture. Yeah.
Was that I don't, you see the beard, I'm Santa Claus, but just to prove that I did Santa Claus Sunday, there's a picture. And it doesn't take 1,000 words to explain. Dale was in a Santa Claus suit on Sunday and did Santa Claus for the kids. I mean, that's a picture's worth 1,000 words. That's the whole idea. I mean, I could tell you that I did Santa Claus for 100 kids on Sunday, but what proof do I have? Well, here's my picture. So.
And Dr. Lamb, for every one of them, you can overthink all this, and you can make it harder than what it should be. But if you take time and you think about what you're doing, a lot of this work is already out there. You got to work smarter and not harder sometime. Rory and I had that conversation just this week.
Mm-hmm. All right. Last thing I'm going to show you tonight. And you can Google this for yourself. The North Carolina Principals Evaluation Manual. Yes, okay. Okay, can you see that on my screen?
Yes.
All right, let me move that out of the way. An evidence is a document. That's a narrative. That's why we refer to the narratives that you write for your evidence artifacts as evidences. An artifact is a thing that's produced, a product resulting from the reader's work. This is from the State Evaluation Manual. Guess how you're going to be evaluated when you become an assistant principal or a principal? Evidence artifacts. You're going to have proofs. And what it tells you is here's the rating scale, and it's also going to have a little thing down here at the bottom, what artifacts that you will have produced. And when you get evaluated, you have to produce those artifacts. That's what we're training you to do, to develop a system where you catalog or you take notes or you write down so that you know where stuff is, because you're going to have to pull that stuff together at the end of every year that you work in public schools in North Carolina. You're going to have to pull all that stuff together and show it to your supervisor. They don't want you can't just, you'll have to write a narrative, but you're going to, that's the first thing. You will have to write a narrative of what you've accomplished, of what you did. You'll have to provide them an evidence, which is a narrative. But they'll also, again, right here, you'll have to show them artifacts, proof of what you did. That's why we're training you this way. We're using the same rubric as you'll be evaluated on when you get your administrative job, whether you're an assistant principal or a principal. That is the way that you will be evaluated, by evidence artifacts. And you will, and those artifacts will track along those 21 competencies as well. So this is not just something that we made up. This is a requirement since 2010 that we teach you in this method, because you're going to be evaluated in this method. Everything is due by 14th. That's correct. Everything is due by the 14th, the last day of the semester. So you've got 9 more days. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. But again, we didn't make up this system. We're required to teach you in this system and evaluate you in this system. The state of North Carolina made that change starting in August 2010. They said they were tired of colleges doing whatever they wanted, and it didn't fit the evaluation system that they had in place for principals and assistant principals. So we had to adopt this method of teaching you so that you would not be ignorant of the evaluation process once you got your job, that you'd know what an evidence is. It's a written narrative. You'd know what an artifact is. It is a thing that is produced. It is an item, an icon, an artifact. That you would know the difference, and you would know where they would come from and how you would have a system of collecting them and putting them somewhere. You saw all my screenshots. I've got a folder for them. I would suggest you do that on your computer as well and back them up on a disk. That's what you'll have to do when you become an administrator.
Dr. Lamb, the question was asked. Yes, all of the AppTel work for the AppTel for Blackboard is due, and all of the task stream stuff is due by the 14th.
Yep.
It's all due. And anything after the 14th, hours that you work administratively, yes, you can start recording them for next semester, since you're going to have Dr. Lamb and me anyway. So yes, you can do that.
Yep. Yep. When you get to 80, you can cut it off and start again for next semester. That'll be fine. Shouldn't be a problem. All right. So as you can see, you're going to have to do this every time. This is how, look at the artifacts. And so that list of artifacts that I've made for you goes right along with this. I didn't just grab them out of thin air, and I didn't just grab this list of suggested clinical activities. They are designed that you will hit the 21 competencies. So the good thing for you folks is when you get your job, you're going to know exactly what to do and how to do it. And hopefully you'll have a system in place by then to collect your data. So when it comes evaluation time, you'll be able to grab that folder, write a little narrative with it, and you're good to go. You won't be having to spend a week trying to find all your stuff.
And another thing too, Dr. Lamb, is next semester when we officially begin on the 17th of January, you will have gone through all of this. Next semester, I mean, you've got to work, but all of this stuff won't be new to you.
No.
So, it'll be much easier next semester because you won't be having to figure all this out.
That is correct. That is correct. Okay. All right. All right. Anything else before we go?
That's it. They know that with what they submit to Blackboard every day, I check first thing in the morning, I check in the middle of the day, I check before I go to bed at nighttime. I think they've learned I give them very quick feedback on whatever they do. So, and that process will continue through the end of the semester.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm trying to answer questions on my phone as well. All right, I think that's it.
And Dr. Lamb, we will say that there have been students today that have completely submitted the AppTel to task stream. It has been scored, and they have their scores back already. So
yeah, that is true. Can you see my phone? There's my favorite picture right there.
I can see it. Yes,
See
I
that?
see it with a special needs child.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yep, that's my favorite.
that's
Got a
great.
couple of those. All right,
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye. I'll send you a link to this.
All right.